Guys, once again here bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we're going to be taking a look at the Tech Trunks and the INT Goten with their EZAs. We're going to use them together because they very much are designed to be used together. They both want a Goten or Trunks with them on the rotation, or a Krillin, but we don't really have any meta-relevant Krillins at the moment, at least on global. I'm not sure how usable the Krillin and 18 from the Beast Gohan banner still is in content and what teams they even share, to be honest. But we're going to take a look at them here. I have them both level 10 links, fully EZA'd. They have their old builds where they're mostly dodge and then a little bit of crit. I think now you probably want to build them full dodge and then additional, but we'll go over their kit. They have the exact same kit apart from one minor word change, which is changing Goten to Trunks, basically. So their super attack is greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn, does supreme damage, and raises allies' attack by 40%, which is a huge buff. If you have one of these guys in slot 1 and then the next one in slot 2, the unit in slot 3 is getting an 80% attack buff on that turn, right? So attack and defense 180, damage reduction of 50%, then they get an additional 120% attack and an additional damage reduction of 30% when performing a super if there is an ally whose name includes Goten, Kid, or Krillin, youth excluded, attacking in the same turn. So obviously Goten's one says Trunks, Kid, or Krillin, youth excluded, attacking in the same turn. Kamehameha allies, key 1, attack 50% and chance to crit 20% as the first attacker in the turn. And then Kamehameha allies 2 key, attack 70% and chance to crit 30% if they're the second attacker in the turn. And then an additional attack 120 and a high chance of performing a crit when performing a super, and key +3 as the third attacker in the turn. So because they both have the same kit, if you have one in slot 1 and one in slot 2, they're giving Kamehameha allies 3 key, 120% attack and then 50% crit chance. Although I think it might be a separate, a 20% and then a 30%. But either way, that is still pretty good. And then, yeah, obviously Goten, like I say, has the exact same kit, but just with Trunks instead of Goten. Now, the thing about these guys, they would seem like a perfect duo to run together for a slot 1 and 2. The only problem is, as you can see here, our start of turn defense is only 175k, right? It's 174 for Trunks, 177 for Goten. They don't get that extra damage reduction until they super. So with 50% damage reduction, if we take, let's say, 1,000,000 damage super, which is kind of low now for some of these difficult events, with the 50% damage reduction and 175k, we're still taking like 325k damage from that. And bosses are starting to hit a lot harder than that. So these guys are going to work really well together in slot 1 and 2 in terms of their kit, but they just don't actually... You know, they're not going to be able to hold it down in slot 1 in the most difficult situations. Also, this is really awkward, the fact that we do shared prepared for battle, but we're not getting the... we're not getting enough... there's a really bad turn for orbs, to be fair, but I guess we'll just have to do this and then do this. Because the thing is, they get their buff on super as well. Right, so let's go ahead and do this, I guess. So... let's see. Yeah, see, we immediately take a type neutral super, 569k, and then 52k from a type advantage normal, because Yakon is AGL. So there you go. We just went through all of that intro, and we immediately die in slot 1 in the Barbadese Forces Red Zone stage, which is the easiest, well, I would say the easiest one out of the new set, right? I don't think that the, with the way that can be quite tough at the beginning, I wouldn't say that the... new one with Buhan at the end is the, well, it's Buff Boo at the very end. The Buhan one is the hardest one. So let's see. We literally didn't even get to see him attack. We just died before the turn even started. And that is going to be the biggest problem with these guys, right? Is we don't have any other meta relevant Trunks and Goten units. So who are we running them with, right? Like, who are we putting in slot 1 so that they can actually get their buffs? This is not a great first turn either without the either of the AGL Gokus, so there's a possibility that we just get destroyed here as well, which is a massive shame because, like, when you read their kit, like, post super, they're going to be really, really good. Like, if you, then they're not going to be great without each other, which is the problem. Because I was going to say, if you're running them on a team where, let's say, you just have Trunks in slot 2 and you have Goten floating, then there's going to be 2 out of 3 rotations where Goten's not there, so Trunks isn't going to look as good. he is giving Kamehameha support and like having the 50% damage reduction, greatly raising defense on super. But without the Goten there, he's not going to look super impressive. And then on the turn where Goten is in slot 3, then he's going to look really good. And then Goten goes away. And obviously on the turns where Goten is there but Trunks isn't, he's not going to look as good. He does get the extra attack buff in slot 3, which is nice. But you can see here, even the type advantage super versus Yamu, he still took damage even post super attack. And that's because we did not have the extra damage reduction. So we've got him floated off. So let's see, we'll get an example here of what Trunks is going to look like in slot 2 on a turn where there is no Goten. So we can go ahead and do this. We're going to take a lot of hits with him here. So I guess we'll see how well he does. I'll get you to attack you, and then we'll see if you can actually take him out. Because we're at, 166k this turn. We're missing Budding Warrior and the Innocence. Budding Warrior is 15% attack. The Innocence is 15% attack as well. So let's see what kind of numbers he's going to do here. He is giving the Kamehameha allies the buff, right? So even Goku in slot 1, where he has the slightly lower numbers, is going to be doing pretty well. And the other thing as well is that 40% on super for all allies, 40% attack when they do their super attack, is pretty big, right? Because units like this Super Saiyan 3 Goku, getting all the extra attack that he gets in slot 3, he should be doing some big damage now after getting that 40% extra. This is my Goku, so mine has 1 dupe. And let's see what he's doing here. Yeah, first attack stat is 10 mil. And that's without him having some of his big like Super Saiyan 3 links active and stuff like that. So that 40% attack buff that they give with their super attack effect, that is going to make a difference for sure. But again, it's the danger of putting them in slot 1, I think, is probably the biggest problem with the unit in general. Right, so we'll do this. We can probably get away with, just doing that. And then we'll give the physical orbs to Gotenks here. Alright, so next turn we will actually have Goten and Trunks together. But yeah, I mean, the problem is, as we saw right at the beginning, you put one in slot 1, the other one in slot 2, and then you immediately take a super. I mean, type neutral super from Pui Pui, and we took like, what was it, 560k or something, which is, you know, you start thinking about the AoE turn from Super Boo, Buff Boo at the end of the newest stage, and then, you know, for the anniversary, Beast Gohan, Blue Gogeta, even like, you know, Fusion Zamasu super attack, something like that. These guys are not really going to be that good at taking these hits, right, in slot 1, which is why I think full dodge is probably the way to go, because then if you end up putting them in slot 1, at least you have the chance to dodge the attack and take 0 damage. And then the thing is, once they have super attacked, then their defense, it's not like their defense gets super, super high, but they then have 80% damage reduction, which of course is going to shave off, you know, almost most of that damage. So they do have the potential, but all right. So we can put Trunks in slot 1. So let's see what he is going to do here. So grab these. So we've got every link active, which is good. 174k, 177k, and then I guess we'll just grab that for you for now. And then Trunks. This is with Trunks having type advantage. Yeah, still taking 21k, and then there's the dodge, and then he drops a 10.3. Okay. So, I mean, that's pretty good, because remember, they're going to do similar numbers, but Goten, who would be attacking next, is going to have the benefit of the 40% attack buff from the Trunks attacking. So he's going to be at, what, like 12, 13 million, something like that, which is pretty good. The problem is just creating the situations where they're going to be able to, you know, actually get those super attacks off without dying. As long as you survive slot 1, then they're going to be fine. It's everything that comes after that that is then potentially the issue. But yeah, I mean, if we get a new Goten and Trunks, maybe we get an EZA for the physical one, although they're not a slot 1 unit anyway. So, I don't know if I said that already, but like, if they got an EZA, having one rotation of them and then the Tech Trunks and the other rotation, them and the INT GOTEN, would work if the physical Dokkan Fest was a good slot 1 unit, because again, these guys aren't really. Like, if they were straight up, like, if they just had that 80% damage reduction when the Goten or Trunks is on rotation with them without having to super, I think they would be, like, well, I mean, obviously they would be better, but they would be considerably better. Like, if they were actually able to be a safe unit that you could put in slot 1, and not worry about them getting instantly cooked, then they could be really, really good, especially for the future when that physical Goten and Trunks EZAs. But as it stands at the moment, putting them in slot 1 is a little bit scary. Like, you know, we're going to get to the physical Fat Boo and Barbody after this phase. We're definitely not going to want to put Goten in slot 1, because even with the type of the damage reduction, he has type disadvantage. But Trunks isn't going to be able to eat the super. I think they do like 1.5 million, don't they? It's either 1.5 or 1.4, I think. So yeah, they're not going to be able to take that super in slot 1 from the physical Boo. But let's go ahead and see this. We didn't get to see Goten attack at all, so we'll let Goten go first here, and then we'll see what the follow-up attack stat is. Yeah, so he's at 9.9, and then Trunks was at 10 mil when he was in slot 1, but now the Goten's attacked, yeah, he's at 13.3. So that's adding a nice big chunk, and then we get the the crit chance given by both of them with their support, and then 61k from a type disadvantage super. I mean, that shows you the benefit of 80% damage reduction is a lot. You know, a 10 million super, which is unrealistic because you're going to die to that anyway, but a 10 million super drops to 2 million with 80%, right? So we're talking big numbers. The hardest hitting super is what, like 3 million and something, or 3 point something million. So like even a 3 million damage super attack, if you take off, let's get 3 million up here actually. We'll get the exact number. So if we get 3 million and we take off 80%, we're looking at 600k. And then post super, their defense is going to be what? I think they just have the greatly raised though, don't they? So potentially post super, their defense isn't that crazy. But I mean, if we were on full health, they would live that 3 million damage super if we were on full health after they've supered. If they're in slot 1 though, yeah, no, because that 3 million goes down to 1.5. And even with 500k defense, they'd be taking 1 million damage. So slot 1 is their biggest problem. We're going to get the Dragon Fist counter here, and then we should be able to tank normals for the rest of the turn. And then we'll get this one turn with Goten and Trunks. But this guy does like to super in slot 1 quite a bit. Although, of course, with the Gokus, we might not even get to see... the next turn, actually. Because with both the Gokus in slot 2 or 3, then they do extra damage. Honestly, I'm not sure what to feel about this Goten and Trunks. When I read their kit, I thought it looked really good. But the biggest issue for them is going to be the on super, is how they get that extra damage reduction. So, yeah, Boo's not surviving this turn. So, I mean, we can try them out in a bunch of different events. I do want to try out all of these EZA characters in some other events as well. But there's just going to be no real situation, I think, in the current meta of difficult content where these guys are going to work as a slot 1 and 2 rotation. Like, they're not going to be terrible to have on some teams, potentially. But, yeah, I mean, the thing is they're not providing a lot to the team if they're not in slot 1 or 2, right? They give that little bit of support in slot 1 or 2, but in slot 3 they're only giving a buff to themselves. So they're not exactly the craziest units to just throw on a team if you're not planning to run them together. So until we get another really good meta relevant like Trunks and Goten, then I'm not really sure like where these guys kind of fit into the team, right? Because like I said, you could run this team and have Goten or Trunks on one of the main rotations in slot 2, float the other one, but then you're only getting that one turn every few turns where they are going to be really good, and then outside of that they're just going to be painfully average. What was that turn we saw where it was like Trunks in between the two Gokus, he did like a 4 million attack stat, his defense only going to be like I say, at most like 300k, and then with no Goten it means he only has 50% damage reduction. So unfortunately these guys seemed really promising, but I think when it comes to practical application of like where we're actually using them, I don't really think they're that great, unfortunately. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. I mean, like I said, if you give them full dodge and you get lucky with a dodge in slot 1, post super they'll be really good, but it's just going to be really dangerous to put them in slot 1 in a lot of instances. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.